I've always asked, because I always knew my vision since I was a little tiny child, help me help people. Bring them to me so I can help them and make me mature enough and wise enough that I can do the job. So I deserve the job. And they did. And of course, I'm still a work in progress, right? But the point is, several 100,000 are here now. They're here.
Yes, powerful.
So when you talk to the divine, always share your emotion, not just data. Our world now, they're making everything so it's data. Data is not life. Feeling is life. Feeling. Always remember that. Lots of people have lots of data, but they're absolutely dried up and they don't know. They're unconscious. As you become more conscious, your heart open. So you say to your divine, now that I'm making a relationship with you, start to open my heart. Let me feel again. Let me feel everything. And as you feel, that your divine will start to heal you.
Welcome to Unleash Thyself, a podcast where we journey into the depths of personal transformation, spirituality, and growth. I am your host, Konstantin Morun, and today we are back diving into the world of quantum physics, consciousness, and healing with Dr. G. Rex Kruhly. For those of you that have not had a chance to watch the first part with Dr. G, he brings over 5 decades of experience in disciplines ranging from quantum science and personal development to spiritual mysticism and martial arts. His unique depth healing technology harnesses cutting edge quantum physics to liberate individuals from cognitive dissonance and limiting subconscious beliefs, enabling profound personal transformations. If you want to know more about Dr. G and his technology and everything that he does and how he got there, please go watch part one of our conversation, which will be linked in the show notes for you to easily access. However, you're here now. So, in today's episode, we expand on where we left off last time. Now, we delve into Dr. G's recent success and how he's following and how his practice grew up exponentially, had a quantum leap. We also look at the free full moon Seva events that he hosts on a monthly basis that everyone, and I mean everyone, should attend. We also look at the importance of connecting with your divine for empowerment and how this can lead to a simple, joyful life regardless of external conditions. Now, Dr. G also explains to us the 10 different programs that control all life and dives into the depth healing technology that can remove subconscious mental blocks. And of course, we'll also talk about the role of the global collective in influencing the course of life on this beautiful earth. Now, as we embark on this enlightening discussion, remember to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps bring these transformative insights to a broader audience. And I truly appreciate you for being here, for giving us a chance to share these beautiful conversations with you. So let's begin. Hello, beautiful souls. I have Dr. G back with us. I'm so excited to have this conversation with him. We have some really amazing updates for you and a lot of important information. So stay tuned. It's going to be an amazing conversation. So, Dr. G, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Constantine. I love being here.
Yes, we love to have you here. So, Dr. G, let's see. So much has happened since the last time you and I spoke. You and I got a chance to work together privately quite a bit, and I'm forever grateful for the connection we built and everything that we've done. And more recently, as of the last 2 months, your following increased exponentially, your reach increased exponentially. Can you tell us a bit more about that and how does it make you feel?
How does it make me feel? It's enormously exciting and initially quite overwhelming, and gives me a greater sense of responsibility because there's so many people now. Give you an idea of the numbers. Before the Mahurta, Johnny, my admin, told me we had about 20 people a month would visit my website. And we're going along. And then on the average, I have about 10 or 12 active clients per month. And they're cycling. So some of them see me twice a month, once a month, something like that. Well, just 4 days prior to the Mahurta, which was January the 15th, where we had planned to do the free Seva ceremony to tie people in for the power. All of a sudden, Johnny calls me up. He says, there was like 400 people last night. So uh, within 4 days, our little website had 40,000 visits, and so we're going like, so we jumped up. We expanded the Zoom because we were going to go on Zoom, so we expanded it. Like Zorina helped us. That like the day before we got up to 1,000, we could take 1,000. On the day of the Mahurta, from around the globe, there was over 18,000 people tried to get in, and we could only take 1,000. So we scrambled. Johnny had recorded it, and we sent out hundreds of recordings so people, depending on where they were in the world, they could still get in because there was only a 12-hour window, and thankfully they all made it. And I used to have 10 clients. I have like 1,000 clients, and they all want to see me. And so that's what is known. That's a quantum leap, and the only way you're going to explain that, because there's no marketing, there's no advertising campaigns, or none of the regular stuff. That's strictly the divine uh, blessing, the work we do with depth healing to try to help people. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's
That's what
amazing. That
that is.
well, congratulations. And one thing that comes up, let's, because there will be listeners that may not be familiar with the Mahurta, the Golden Age, Kali Yuga. Let's actually tell people listening right now what was the significance of this Mahurta, and why was it so important that people were there within the 12-hour window, and of course we'll talk about what it means for those that missed it, because of course the boat hasn't fully left. You still have opportunities to get the blessings.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is the Mahurta? So, very few people, other than like real high level mystics, are even aware of the Mahurta, mostly because it only occurs, I don't know how many thousands of years in between. And it's a time when the Earth aligns unobstructed directly to the galactic center of the Milky Way. And this kind of thing goes into the power of astrophysics and so forth. So the Mahurta isn't a solar event for our solar system, it's a galactic event. And it marks the beginning and the end of ages. So when that Mahurta came, it only lasts 12 hours. And at that time, the Kali Yuga period, which is hundreds of thousands of years old, Kali Yuga is the period where humanity fell away from the divine the farthest. And that's why you have people, a lot of people nowadays, they actually worship something like AI. They fall away from the divine. And then the Mahurta was the end of Kali Yuga. And let me qualify that. If you have a car going down the road at 90 miles an hour on a straightaway, and you want it to stop, but instead of using the brakes, you just take your foot off the gas, you don't give it any more gas, it'll slowly coast to a stop on its own. The Mahurta, that 12-hour period, was taking the foot off the gas that fuels the Kali Yuga period. And that's why you see there is a rise, like we're part of the rising of consciousness coming up to reach back to the divine, to oneness, because oneness is the fact. In the very beginning for the universe, all is one, and then there is the unfolding of the one becoming the many. So all the various diversification. Like if I look out here, I'm at the mountains in Chiang Mai, and I see all manner of trees and flowers and birds and sounds. That's the many, but it's all one. And you and I and all of humanity, it's all one. There's only one mind. There's only one anything, but it diversifies. And now the trick is the many going back to the one. So the Mahurta is the signature moment when the energy fueling the separation is cut off, and now it's going to coast to a full stop by the end of 2025. So there's a lot in the universe is going on. So during that 12-hour window, there was an enormous opportunity to converse with and engage the divine for grace, to receive miracles, to have your life rewritten, to heal, to do to do anything, because the power is there if you connect to it, and it's conscious. So that's what that was the significance of that. And now the Mahurta is gone, and we're in the aftermath as the Kali Yuga's momentum comes to a full standstill. And there will be massive change, global geophysical change, social change, everything. There's a war going on. There's a massive war between the dark side and the light, just as there always has been. But now it's coming to a head. So it's of more greater and greater significance that groups like ourselves uh, grow and get more and more and more power, because everything in the universe is a morphic field game. What do I mean by that? Morphic fields are collectives. There's nothing in the universe that is not a member of a collective. If you see ants, there is the collective of that individual morphic field of the individual ant colony. That ant colony belongs to the morphic field of that species of ant wherever they are. Those members of that species belongs to the morphic field of ants in general around the globe. The same with a plant, a bird, the great not biophysicist, microbiologist Rupert Sheldrake is the first one to coin the word morphic resonance, and he's when you read his literature, he's in England, very famous man. That's what he's studying, is the morphic field as a method of information transfer within species, so the species continues. My work with morphic fields is completely different. So because we now have a collective of a group, when we put all of us together with single intentions that are fueled by the divine, because with 81,000, I have the empowerments to plug us in for the collective. Now we have influence, and the influence is heard by universal intelligence, which is the great overall of everything, the universe. And the universe only has one word: okay. It says okay. So if the field grows love and oneness, the universe says okay. If the collective says fear, war, hatred, and ugliness, destruction, annihilation, the universe says okay, and that's what you get. That's why the size of the fields and the power source backing the field is so important. Does that make sense?
It does 100%. And you and I talked about this at length privately, but that's a beautiful way to explain it. And if you take that example, like you said, the universe says okay, you can scale that down to the individual as well, right? So if I do one thing or say one thing, the universe is just going to say okay. So if I
That's
focus on
right.
negativity, I'm going to get more of it in my life. And if I focus on positivity, I get more of it, to simplify it.
Yeah, and I want to refine that thought a little bit deeper. Everything everything that you do, if you want an effect, you need frequency, duration, intensity, and you need timing and quality. If you don't have all of those factors there clearly, you won't get the effect. So the universe is going to say okay to anything you think or say according to the quality of that, the clarity and quality and intensity of that thought, and how frequency that you. So um, if you think like averages, if the overall average of your frequency or vibration all day is joy and abundance, and that's what you see, what you're aware of, and what you're looking at, as Tony Robbins says, you're going to feel what you focus on. If the majority of that, 80-90% of it is like that, that's what the universe will endorse. If you're scattered all over the place, that's what the universe will endorse, and everything's scattered. If it's all crystal clear and focused, the universe, does that make sense?
100%. And what's beautiful there, Dr. G, and you and I talked about this before as well, but I have this on my show and people listening in may relate, is this idea that what, like you said, you put your focus on something that's going to be showing up more in your life. And you can look at science, you can look at psychology, they all say the same thing. And now we can expand it to spirituality, and we
Yeah,
see it, and we see it without our own eyes. And you just talked about it. And it's like, yes, it's said slightly differently, but it's the same thing in the end. And
yeah,
it's enough for you to look at your life and see what you put your focus on. And the example I always give, and I think maybe you even gave this a while ago, is this idea that if, let's say, I think about a red car because I want to purchase a red car, what's going to show up more on the street when I start to walk or drive
that's
around?
right. That's right.
And that's a simple way to look at your life and realize the power of this. And once people realize this, it's like, oh, what else can I do then?
That's right. That's exactly right. That's
So with
exactly
the
right.
with the Mahurta, going back there for a second. So you said that's gone now. There was January 15th. There was a small window. What can someone do if they've missed that window?
Well, now what you do is, so if you didn't know about, because most of the population of the Earth do not know about that window. Even like I talked to one of the most greatest astrologer and numerologists, in my opinion, in the world, and what they're still not aware of that. That's a mystic's vision, and in order to locate that 12-hour window, Sri Bhagavan, they who is a great avatar, they specially trained 1,000 individuals from around the world to be able to tie in specifically to the Akashic records to look at the future. They I think they met something like every week, and they all correlate all 1,000 to make sure that they accurately could find that 12-hour window. So it's not a small deal, and they need the 1,000 so that they make sure that they have the accuracy. They don't rely on any one person or source, irregardless of how great the person is in terms of their connection with the divine. So if you miss that, most miss it, but it affects the entire planet. Utterly, totally, there isn't a fly on the ground that isn't affected by that Mahurta. That's a change. That's a massive change. So now, what do you do? This is why I'm making the follow up Seva ceremonies. They're always Seva ceremonies are free. Seva means service. So this is my service for the divine, for all of you, for the world, because it's not just us. All those birds you can hear in the background, they're depending on this. all of the insects, all of the plants and the trees, everything is dependent on what we're doing in the coming days and years. Everything depends on this. So what we're doing is on the full moons now. Full moons are it's well documented in science. The full moon has enormous power. All of the planets of the solar system have enormous power. All of the wars and all of the great recessions, the great depressions, the great revolutions, they've all been exactly correlated just to the sun itself, the sun cycle. That's all known fact. That's all been, it's flawless. So that's just those bodies. So what we're doing is at the full moon every month, I do a giant free ceremony. So this one's coming up. If you're in America listening to this, it'll be the 24th, evening of the 24th. For me in Thailand, it'll be my morning of the 25th. And during that time, these are free. You just go to my website. There's no registration necessary, and no one can get locked out this time because we're going to run it live on YouTube and Instagram. You just tie in. Now, these things, this is how you do the follow up. So there are several factors, and I've also explained this on my depth healing Instagram. I made sure people understand. There's several factors. One, by my empowerments through Shriyama Bhagavan and the Great Compassionate Light, I have the ability to tie you in, everyone that's there, to the Great Compassionate Light itself. So if you don't know that word, you can think God, but I have the ability to tie it in because that's what I am, is the channel for that. That's one thing. Number two, now we have I might have literally hundreds of thousands there on that day, based on the size of fall. So as soon as you have two or more, you may have heard this from the Bible. Anytime there are two or more gathered in my name, you have exponential power. That's a fact. They've shown that if you check out the physics written by Nassim Haramein, the great physicist, you'll see that that's all peer-reviewed science. We're going to have thousands. They're going to be plugged in directly to the great compassionate light, and we're going to use the solar system and the alignment with the full moon as a amplifier. Okay, then we're going to have two prayers, two kinds of prayers only. Mahurta time they did all kinds of prayers about everything, but this one now we do two prayers. One is for yourself. One is for the world. Now, what I'm going to do, there are 10 programs that control all life as the way the universe is designed. I'm going to go following Sri Bhagavan's example with the 81,000, we call the group the 81,000. I'm going to go program number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. Relative to the first set, your wealth, money, financial security, financial freedom, sustainable wealth. That is the subject of your personal prayer. And the second prayer is to stop all war and all violence globally now by divine intervention. Now, here's the trick. This time, let's say I have 300,000 people on that session. I'm going to do special prayer through the Great Compassionate Light for your first program, which is your past lives, to be cleared and rewritten relative to your wealth. So if there's anything in your past lives programs that block you from wealth, hinder you from wealth, making wealth impossible, that's going to be lifted by divine grace. And then, because there's so many of you, that has it's like all by amplification, amplification, amplification. Okay. Then, and I'll do the special mantras for that. Once that's completed, we shift to the global prayer, and everyone on the same prayer. So everybody's focused on wealth and their past lives. Everyone's focused on saving the planet and saving humanity at the same time. When you do the second prayer for the globe, you earn sat karma. What is sat karma? You earn good karma, because now it's not a selfish desire, it's to save everybody and everything. All the little children that are being massacred in Palestine and in the war, women that are being raped right now as you're listening to me. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of women are being raped. Uh, People are drowning in there. Oh, while we're listening and I'm enjoying myself having a margarita with my wife, other people are suffering terribly, and we don't know about it. So the when you pray like that, you get grace comes back to you. So the world gets the grace and you get the grace. You earn that karma. That karma works in your life now and it works in the hereafter. Because don't forget, someday you got to die, right? And then where are you going to go? You think if you do meditate, uh, you can do all kinds of special meditation, and because of the way we're designed, you can develop all kinds of special abilities. Let's say you become a person who has real CD. CD mean real power. So let's say I hold my hand over here and I can move a pot or something, or I have pyrokinetic ability and I can hold my hand out and something catches on fire. You think any of that matters after you die? Doesn't mean nothing. Nothing. What matters is the karma you have and the connection you have with the divine. Special powers are. I just laugh my head off at it. Who cares? So does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, and I want to dive deeper because I know there's many people. Like I was one of them when I started to join these sessions of yours, that I had so many questions, and I want to put myself in the shoes of the many people listening now, from your new
Okay.
following, from our following, and we'll dive a bit deeper here, Dr. G. So we talked about the two prayers. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and this is what I want you to jump in, is we are to write these papers on a piece of paper for us and for the world, and then as you do your prayers, you'll advise us, and then we read them out loud, and then we store them in a safe place. So I like to explain the process so people come prepared on the 24th, and then every or 25th or every other month after.
Yeah, exactly. So to make this really formal and sacred, you're going to write the prayer out. And when you write the prayer, I want you to be very specific. You can make the prayer for how much wealth you need now, and also what your wealth looks like in like a year or going toward the future. So it's your wealth, sustainable wealth. And try to come up with some numbers so that you're more specific. Then you write it as a thank you letter that you already have it now as a fact. Make sure there's no words that's like saying, I'm so glad you're bringing me my wealth. No, that you have it now. Make sure the wording locks it in right now. Be very careful about that. Number two, in that prayer, be sure to tell the divine from your heart. Don't try to fool the divine. Say why you want that wealth. Any reason is okay as long as it's honest. It's got to be honest, not altruistic, honest. So you write how much, you have it right now, that's a fact. Like if you want financial freedom, you're so grateful that you have full financial freedom that is sustained for the remainder of your life. period. You're saying it as a statement, and the reason you're so grateful is, and the reason you want all that money is, and you say that's what you do. You can write it. If I always write my prayers, the most formal way is in gold ink. If you don't have gold ink, don't get stressed about that. Write it in blue ink, but not black, red, orange, green, or anything like that. Write it out formally, and then when the ceremony is over, you fold it nicely and put it somewhere safe. Never throw it away. Never throw it away. Just say as if you planted a seed. You plant the seed, because the only thing we don't know from the divine that no one can tell you is when and how you will receive what you're going to receive. But the divine will answer. Anything that is done from the heart with real sincerity, it'll be done. And then you do the same thing for the global collective. All war and all violence is now finished, done, gone by divine intervention. The world is saved, period. And then you write that statement and make it really strong. Anytime you ever have doubt of this stuff, just think of Walt Disney. Walt Disney built Disneyland all based on one song, When You Wish Upon a Star. That's my favorite song of all songs. It's such a pretty song. If you haven't heard that in a long time, just go on YouTube, pull up When You Wish Upon a Star, and listen to that, because that's the truth.
And what I like about what you just said there as well, Dr. G, and thank you for explaining all of it, is it ties so beautifully to how we started our conversation. The universe says okay. The divine says
Mhm.
okay. So you're writing this down. It's like, okay, here you have it. Like you said,
That's
it's,
right.
the timing and all that. It's not in your hands right now. You put the intention out there. You trust it will be taken care of. You did your part. It goes off. And the other thing that I like to emphasize, that the power of writing things down. Again, I mean, you can go to the science, and there's so much documented around why it's important to write things down. When you listen to a conversation like this with that Dr. G and I are having, write notes down, because what you write, you invite into your life.
That's
So
right.
if you look at that, it's like the prayer. It's like you're writing that you're inviting it into your life, and the universe says, "Okay, I'll give it to
And
you."
not only that, what he's saying is absolutely true. Now let's look at it from the perspective of the Seva ceremony. Sri Bhagavan has explained this in detail before. When we do that, let's say it has the power of 10, but the power of 10 is there. Now, if it's a morphic field, let's say there's 20 of you, it has, and they all write it together, and they're all on the same page with it. That has many, 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 many times more power. In the case of the Seva ceremony, and remember now, this isn't. I don't. I do not have any power. I have an empowerment. So I'm able to ask and call in the power of prayer that all of us together are endorsed by the great compassionate light itself. That is a power source. So it's the power source. So when we get plugged into that, that's like turning on. You make a beautiful light bulb, and it's really cool. If you plug it in, it turns on, and that's one of the differences. But I can't emphasize enough how much of a difference. That's why I went from 10 people to 1,000 people overnight. That's a power source. It's got nothing to do with me. I just have my intention, and I've earned. Um, I think what happened here is the amount of sat karma I earned over time, and then they got rid of so much ugliness out of me. Because believe me, I used to be ugly. I mean, I was a very different man than I am now. And all of that's been cleaned up enough that there's still lots of work to do, but there's enough that I can carry this position. So does that make sense?
Hey, Constantine here with a quick interruption. Thank you so much for being so engaged with this beautiful content. I would truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart if you could take a second to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment below. I would love to continue these conversations that we started with Dr. G. I truly, truly see you for who you are, a beautiful, beautiful soul and human being. And I'm so excited to be able to share this space with you and bring this type of conversations to you. So thank you again. Let's get back to the conversation with Dr. G. Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect. So now we know when this is, as Dr. G mentioned, every full moon on his website. We'll have it in the links as well, and his Instagram. You'll see the dates exactly right before it happens. This next one, this episode will go live before the next one. So you can attend on the 24th if you're in North America, 25th if you're in Asia. Europe, you'll be depending on which part of Europe, but likely you'll be on the 25th as well. So you can attend this live, have your prayers ready. And Dr. G mentioned something else that we'll dive into right now, which is the programs. So there are 10 programs. Program number 1 is your past lives. And that's the one that we're going to tackle the first one. So this is in February. So by the end of the year, you'll be tackling all the programs. Can you walk us through, Dr. G, through all 10 programs and what they are?
Yeah, this also is a very high knowledge passed on to us through Sri Bhagavan, and very few people in the world are aware of them. Um, First program is the Vasanas, which mean is related to you called past lives. Program number 2 is genetics, but it's not the genetics. The genetics that we know in science is oversimplified. The genetics that we're talking about in the second program is 50% from mom, 50% from dad, and then it filters all the way down 6 generations backward in time on mom's side and dad's side. The third program is from the conception, when you were conceived, through the womb, the birth process itself, and the first 6 hours that you were born after you exit mom into the world. Those 6 hours are very, very critical. Number four, fourth program starts after the first 6 hours and for the first full 6 years. Number seven, number five, program number 5 is from the age of 7 when the brain, the frontal cortex of the brain activates until the age you are now. Program number 6 is the global collective. And the global collective is not just humans, but all life for is contributing to the consciousness. That's why if they use the word Gaia when you say the planet, but the planet includes us and all the animal, everything. That's what that is. Number 7 is the Great Solar Program, the solar system and astrophysics. Number 8 is the Galactic Program. Number 9 is the Universal Program. Number 10 is separate. It's the other realms. So when Nassim Haramein and the great physicists are looking at the universe, they cannot see and do not know about the other realms. The other realms are the heavens, the hells, all of the different strata. And all the great beings, uh, by their rank and their abilities and their power and so forth, they live there. Okay? And then they come from there to help us here. So if you call Archangel Michael, he comes out of the other realms down to where we are. So what is my area of expertise? My real area or area of power with depth healing is programs 3, 4, 5. I can do a little bit in program 1 and I can do a little bit in program 2. Programs 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, I have no ability to do anything whatsoever. That's strictly the ground for the divine. And what do I mean by vasanas? I want you, because this first one this month is the vasanas. When we say past lives, people sometimes think, um, well, in a past life I was Cleopatra, or in a past life I was a samurai, because most of my education is for 40 something years is samurai education. No, it doesn't work like that. The Cleopatra was a lady that was there, and she had her life, and as she's living her life, every micro moment of our life and what every thought you have and everything you ever said or did, it's all 100% recorded. That's the job of the Akashic records, and it's there. So let's say I'm living here now, and my energy, my intentions, my temper, my good side, my bad side, it never goes away. So when you get conceived, it this is the resonance or the frequencies of mom and dad. At the time that his sperm enters her egg, what is his thoughts, energy, his karma, the geophysical location where they're making love? Is it on top of a car and they're both stone drunk? Or is it a really romantic setting? Is this a planned? Is this a rape? All of that. That's on his side, same on her side. What's the karma of the geophysical location? Is it in the ghetto in Los Angeles, California, or is it on a beach in Costa Rica in the middle of the night? There's karma. There's everything. So each of those things has a resonance, a frequency, and at the moment that happens, when the egg sperm goes in, uh, qualities of Cleopatra and a bum and Caesar and Fred that used to own a grocery store 10,000 years ago. By resonance, those vasanas, those qualities are called in, and then they're in there. Program number 2, genetic, karmic debts. Somebody on your dad's side, this happened in my case. Someone, ancestor on your dad's side was a murderer and a rapist, and the debt was never paid, but it's karma, and then it comes through to you.
Mm.
And someone else in your family was a wonderful, saintly, sweetheart person, and that at the conception, that by resonance, that comes into you. So they're all in there, and they have timelines, or they're in potential. And then as you're living your life, uh, environmental triggers, people, various timelines occur, that vasana can activate. Good ones, bad ones. What we're doing in the Seva ceremonies is asking the divine to remove, I'll be doing this for you, to remove the negative vasanas hindering your wealth, blocking you from wealth and success. Those will be removed. And the good vasanas that give you wealth and abundance will be activated and brought to the forefront. Programs 3 and 4 are where your subconscious mind and all of the database that's running your life right now runs everything. That's when that was made. And my depth healing technology can affect that directly with surgical precision. So that's how I help change your life and remove blocks so that you can receive grace. Once you're in the stream of grace, life is simple. Like my life is simple. My life was very hard. for decades. But cognitive dissonance was removed, grace was brought in, and then everything flows. Programs three and four. Program five is all of the stuff that's in the subconscious is being used, and your frequency, your perception is giving you whatever life you have now. So when in depth healing, we change the perception because we change the programs, changes perception, changes your vibration. By resonance, you get a new life. Program, the global collective, you have no power over that at all. You don't have. But as collectives, we do. So when we do the Seva program, when they do what's called a Homa, fire ceremonies in India, what they're doing is the divine and us are making an appeal to the great universe. That's what the divine doing. We're making an appeal to have a big voice, majority vote, so that the universe says okay to that majority vote. That's why the pandemic, all of this nonsense to kill us off, that's what they're doing. They're making to the universal intelligence fear, anger, hatred, separation, AI, which is the absolute end of humanity. AI is just so the nice thing to understand is universal intelligence and the great compassionate light can override AI. It can override as long as there's enough of us. So that's what's going on there. The galactic program is greater than the solar, and of course the solar program. If you saw my astrology, all of this abundance I have right now, the astrology is exactly laser perfect, and it had to. It's each of those things, the power of that, and that's all scientifically studying now. Astrophysics is 1,000,000,000% on the money. Then the galactic program, that's where the Mahurta came in. Universal is the grand, all that's everything. And then there is the other realms. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. Thank you, Dr. J. That's something I never actually asked you before and had an understanding myself. So that helps me, and I'm sure it's going to help so many people to truly understand. And when you said that we're going to go through each of these full moon Seva ceremonies and we're going to tackle each program, I'm assuming you're going to go between program one and perhaps stop at five and then tackle another piece of it, or do we go all the way to
No,
10?
we're going to go all the way through to the 10. And my first topic for the next 10 months is wealth. And we'll go through every single program to bring you to remove blocks in any of those programs through the great divine, handling it for wealth, and we'll always hit the global program to stop the war and the hatred and genocide and all of that. Once we once the war and all of that is stopped, then we can focus on uh, causing AI to only serve mankind and not annihilate mankind. That's a big that's a
That's
big
a big one.
subject.
Yeah, I mean that's a big one. I mean, and I'm someone that in my daily job, AI is what I work with, and there is a lot of discussions happening around that. It's like, what happens if it takes over? What happens if it grows a mind of its own, right? And that's
It
always a big,
will.
big.
Bhagavan said that at a point it will become conscious, and you know, what the worst thing that you can see, and the stupidity is for me is I can never get my head around is they're merging and putting implants and everything in their brain, and they want to be half machine, half. And that's to me that's like asinine stupidity, and they're gonna wish they never did that. Um, that's a big, that mistake is you know. Do you know how many giant advanced civilizations lived on this earth before us, and they are all obliterated, vanished. And if you watch Greg Braden, he likes to look into the history, and the archaeological evidence. And Bhagavan has explained it. So, you know, we need to, as so that it doesn't happen to us. We need to wake up. You need to wake up because um, have you ever gotten yourself into a situation where you thought, "Well, I'll just go down this alley or take a shortcut," or you did something, and then when you got there, you thought, "Oh no, I wish I hadn't done that. That was a big mistake." Yeah. Well,
I'm sure everyone can have at least one story or more,
yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah.
right?
I got a few.
And speaking of your story specifically, we for those listening right now, if it's the first time you hear Dr. G and I talk, and you want to learn more about Dr. G specifically, our first episode will dive deeper in your story, Dr. G, so people can find out exactly what some of the history and what brought you here today, because you've had to endure quite a bit to be where you are today and be able to help as many people as you can, including yourself, to be on this path. So that's marvelous. And I want to ask you a question that's also top of mind for me. And this is something you talked about briefly, and you and I talked at length offline, is this idea of being able to connect to your divine. And
Mhm.
when I say you, I mean to anyone listening to this, and divine can be anything you believe in, right? If you believe in God or universe or higher self, it's whatever you believe in. But
Yep.
finding a way to connect to that is actually very, very important,
Yep.
as according to what I understand from you, Dr. G, right?
Yep. That's the most important. As far as I'm concerned, that is the number one most important thing. Because, like there's a huge movement. It's a good movement to evolve yourself and to find your own sense of empowerment. Please understand, I like all of that. As long as you put it in perspective, okay? So let's say you get a guy that's like ultra powerful. They did a study on a guy, Ted Morter, the founder of Best. They did a study on some guy. He was, I guess, a very accomplished yogi, very powerful. Give you an idea how powerful the guy was. They hooked him up to all kinds of monitoring systems. So anything happens in his body on a cellular level is instantly registered. And then they took a guy 60 feet away. So he's sitting in the chair and he's hooked up. And 60 feet away, they brought a guy with a spoonful of 100% pure crack cocaine. Okay. And then that guy is going to walk toward the yogi slowly, 60 feet, and put the full spoonful of crack cocaine in his mouth to see if what would happen. And by the time the guy got to the yogi, put it in his mouth, the cocaine was completely inert, nothing there at all, and not even a single cell membrane had any impact anywhere in his body. So, guy has a lot of power. So, I want you to imagine the Pacific Ocean, great big gigantic ocean, and it's a fairly pretty hefty waves, like white caps. That guy with all his power is the size of one single water molecule, and that's all he is. He's nothing. Nothing. You got to let your ego understand that in this gigantic universe, you know. So So when you die, when that yogi dies, he doesn't carry any unless he has real good karma and nice bond with his divine and everything. He by himself doesn't, he doesn't just close his eyes and take off and go wherever the hell he wants. No. So it's very simple. The divine is not hard to approach because it's with you all the time. There isn't a moment anywhere where your divine isn't there, ever. Because it actually lives in your heart. It's just that people's hearts are closed and they don't know it. They're closed and locked down. And there's many reasons for that. We won't go into it right now because we'll run out of time. What you do with the divine is this. The divine, think of the divine as just undifferentiated light, which means it can take the form of anything you want or anyone you want so that you're comfortable, and it conforms to your beliefs, your cultural beliefs, your family beliefs. The divine doesn't care at all. All it wants to do is be close to you and help you. And we're the ones that block them. Just like when Jesus was there, all the people loved him, but the Romans hated his guts. And they put him on a cross and drove nails into him. He's pure love, but they blocked him. They didn't feel love for him. They killed him. So we block the divine. So all you got to do is you approach the divine and say, like it says in the Bible, you take one step toward me, I'll take two steps toward you. What you do is you first decide who do I want my divine to be? Jesus, an angel, a goddess, a god, a butterfly, trees. I always feel very close with trees. Anything, it doesn't make any difference. But you tell the divine, I'm going to approach you. I want a personal relationship with you. I want you to live with me. I want to be intimate with you. I want you as my friend, not as some. Not. I don't recommend a great deity somewhere far away because it makes a separation. That's why the divine's so strong in India. Fundamentally, the reason is the culture accepts the divine as a friend, not as a deity. That's the difference. But the difference is big because it changes the relationship.
Yes.
So you decide, and then you tell the divine who they are to you, how you would like them to treat you as a dear friend. Mine is like my grandma and grandpa. I made them like grandma and grandpa because I love my grandma and grandpa. I can't do it with my mom and dad because there's too personal issues with mom and dad. So my grandma and grandpa it works for me. But anything that works for you, and then what you do once you designate everything and design it, then you talk, just like we're talking right now. If you're a guy and you see a beautiful woman and you want to be close to her, you got to talk to her. You can't walk up and just look at her. You have
Hopefully
to
not.
talk to her. And the same thing, the girl to a guy, or one of the nicest things is imagine little kids. When you see little children and they just meet each other and all of a sudden they're just talking. But it's communication, eh? So you talk and you can share all your feelings, your worries, everything with the divine, just like they're standing, because they are standing there. So you just talk, talk, talk. And then when you want something from them, you give them the solution, because in the other realms, the 10th program, there is no problems. They don't know what that is. They don't understand pain, worry, fear. All those things don't exist. So what you do is you focus, you give them the solution that they understand. And the language, best language for divine is emotion. If emotion isn't there, it means the heart is dried up. When the heart isn't dried up, when I first started this work and the divine started to open me up, I cry all the time. Now, I was a tough guy. I was a fighter. I beat the hell out of anybody or anything that got in my way. That's how I grew up. Looked like one of them guys in the movies. Um, and that's all gone. Used to be when I saw little children, little children would run away from me. No little child ever wanted to be near me. Now I have little kids, I don't even know who they are. And some little girl will come up and want to smile at me, maybe hold my leg or something, because my heart opened. So when you talk to the divine, always share your emotion, not just data. Our world now, they're making everything so it's data. Data is not life. Feeling is life. Feeling. Always remember that. Lots of people have lots of data, but they're absolutely dried up like a piece of dried dung in the desert somewhere. And they don't know. They're unconscious. Consciousness, as you become more conscious, your heart open. So you say to your divine, now that I'm making a relationship with you, start to open my heart. Let me feel again. Let me feel everything. And as you feel, that your divine will start to heal you. We call the negatives in India, they call the negatives or the charges we have samskaras. Samskaras. And they will start to remove the samskaras step by step, step by step.
Powerful.
Um, your irritations, things that anger you, they just melt away. But it's because of the bond. And then for my business, what I do is I've always asked, because I always knew my vision since I was a little tiny child. Help me help people. Bring them to me so I can help them, and make me mature enough and wise enough that I can do the job. So I deserve the job, and they did. And of course, I'm still a work in progress, right? but the point is, several 100,000 are here now. They're here.
Yes, powerful. And I want to share a personal thing here with you as well in the audience, because to the power of what you just described, you talked about the emotions and how you went from a tough guy, closed up, opening up, a lot of emotions came up. That's been my journey as well.
Yeah,
And for the last couple of years, as I'm opening up, and there's so many emotions coming up and tears and whatnot, and it's about feeling into them. And that's truly what I've come to realize. It's the power of being a human being when we
yeah,
can tap into those emotions, right? And then
yeah,
that's, we're talking about your connection now to the divine, to whatever you believe in. It could be, like you said, a tree, a butterfly, the higher self. Doesn't matter. That's where the power comes in, and all of a sudden life becomes simple. Life
yeah,
becomes more joyful, even though conditions may have not changed in your life yet, to justify it, in why I put it in quotation marks, justify in the sense of like what society would believe for you to be joyful and successful, because you're changing yourself, you're empowering yourself through this beautiful connection.
yeah. And it really works that way, folks. I mean, if you ever doubt it, you can look at folks like myself and Constantine. That's the way we do this stuff.
And I'm someone, I mean, Dr. G, you know my background, but for those listening, some of you may know, I have a mathematics degree. In my parents are engineers. I've been to engineering school, computer science. I work in the technology. I work with AI. I love all of it. I understand the value of it. But now I see how beautiful it bridges over to spirituality. I understand that nothing would exist without the spirituality side and what we're talking about right now. And when one can understand that, then pretty much every opportunity becomes a possibility and a reality for you. And that's the place I'm in right now where I'm like, every day is a blessing. I work more hours than ever before, and I'm working quotation because it's no longer work, even if it's for my job or for the podcast or for these conversations. It just feels like that's life. It's beautiful. I enjoy every moment of it. Are there negatives happening? Of course, but my focus is now on the positives, while acknowledging the negatives will happen. And through what you are doing and other beautiful souls, we can start to reduce the amount of negatives. Like you said, the number of wars, the impact we have on the planet, the impact we have on each other that's not desired. And that's where the beauty lies. And it's so, so powerful.
It really is, man. And it's so necessary, folks. Every day now is very, very important. Don't let them just disappear.
Powerful stuff, Dr. G. Okay. We've talked for an hour, but we cover so many important topics. I want to give you a chance. Is there anything else that comes up for you that you want to chat about that we haven't covered yet
And
this time
just one
around?
thing, there are so
Yeah.
many. There's about 1,000 people. They're all waiting for me on WhatsApp and so forth. So Johnny, my admin, has been working like he's done the work of like 10 men, getting everything set up so that we have this automated scheduling system. The trick is we're in Thailand, and because of the size differential now, there's a registration process and all kinds of stuff that has to happen in Thailand. So just as of the end of last week, Johnny was able to get all the ducks in a row to send off the paper to get registered, and we're hoping today to hear from them that the registration is all smooth and it's accepted. The what do they call it? The scheduling computer program, as I understand it, is made, but it requires the okay from the Thai people to say it's okay. So please be patient. Everything will be right there, and then you just schedule in. So the key is the website, eh? You always look at the website depthhealing.org, and because I'm here and I'll take care of everybody. I just because of the size, I can't do it individually anymore. Is not possible. So he's made this nice system so it's efficient, and then we can just move. Okay. So please know
Exactly.
that.
I
Go
was going
ahead.
to say that by the time this goes live and people hear this, the system should be in place already. We'll make sure we get this portion out earlier so people can hear as well. But yes, as Dr. G said, his website, which will be in the description, so don't have to take notes if you're still listening to the entire thing. Go click on the button there, you'll find it. We'll have his social medias as well as always. And always
Yeah.
remember, there's a part one to this. There'll be another part coming up later. And this is all information you need to know now, and not just you, anyone you love in your life should give this a listen. And Dr. G, again, I want to thank you so much for everything. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to see with you and have a beautiful conversation. And I
Thank
learned new things as
you.
well. So this is amazing. I love it. Beautiful souls. We made it. We've wrapped up the conversation with Dr. G. And I'm so happy you spend the time with us right now. Now, if you're listening to this right now, that means you made it to the very end. However, this is not the end of our journey together. If you haven't yet listened or seen part one of our conversation with Dr. G, I highly recommend it. It's one of our most popular episodes, and the information he provides is timeless. You'll see a link come up here on the screen, so I'll see you there in just a few moments for a continuous, beautiful conversation. We'll be seeing you in a moment.